Okay, quick overview of my new lathe, Craftex CX706. This is sold by Busy Bee Tools in Canada, and I believe there are some other brands, manufacturers that make essentially the same thing, just under their own brand. This thing comes with a couple of features that I was not aware of when I purchased it, and I thought I would show them to any other prospective buyers to help them make the decision. Also, this is basically just out of the box. I finished cleaning it and lubricating it as per the instructions, and it's basically never going to be this clean again, so why not make the video now. So this is basically how it comes out of the box. It's essentially all assembled, other than just needing to attach a couple of the handles, as is usually the case. The carriage and tailstock were already on there, as well as the steady rest and follow rest were also there. It came with a little can of touch-up paint and some miscellaneous hardware, chuck tool, a 4-jaw chuck, a actual toolbox full of some other stuff. There's a, I believe this is a dead center. We've got change gears, some Allen keys. Up here I've got some wrenches that came with. That's one of my tools that didn't come with it. A couple of screwdrivers and things like that. Collets, and you get the idea. At least one extra fuse. We've got the main unit up here. Here's our controller. It also came with this oil can. And a couple interesting features I found about this that I did not see online. First of all, we've got these oil ports right here and there, and you can see there's a few more on the other parts of the machine, as well as a couple in the back on the change gear sets. And there's a spring-loaded ball. You just take the oil can like so, use it to push the ball in, and then put a squirt of oil in there. It says to do that every day you're using it. We've also got a gearbox with a little sight glass there full of oil. And over here in the carriage we have another sight glass. The instructions explain how to change the oil on the main gearbox, but not over here, so I'll have to figure that out. Okay, a couple of the interesting features I found. First of all, this was mentioned in another video, but just again to point it out for good measure. When you turn it on, it starts spinning right away. Even with this thing turned all the way down, your minimum speed is, well, it's advertised at 50 RPM, but looks like I can go a little slower. Anyways, good to note that you cannot slow down the spindle to a complete stop without actually turning it off. Now, the features that I was not previously aware of that I think are pretty cool. You can see I've got the lead screw in gear right now, and we have our standard feed for when we're threading. So you can see right now the carriage is moving along. That's how we would be threading something. Disengage this and stops moving the carriage. And you can see this indicator is turning, and that's how you line up your phasing. If you're going to do multiple passes and you need to disengage the carriage between passes, you would wait until your number comes around again. So you'd start it right on the 1, do your thread pass, disengage, and then the next pass you would wait until the 1 is lined up with the notch down here, and then you would engage it again, and that would ensure that your threads are all starting at the same time. Now, the cool thing that I didn't realize, if you leave this disengaged, this lever right here activates a power feed for very fine works. If you push it in and up, you can see that now we have our cross slide moving ever so slowly. Let me just turn up the speed here to make it a little more obvious. Okay. Now if we take this, put it down, pull it out, and put it the other way. There we go. Now we're moving the carriage again ever so slowly, which should make finishing passes really easy to do. I don't know what ratio that is. You can clearly see without changing the speed, if I disengage this, then I engage the threading, it's it's moving quite a bit faster. So obviously there's some reduction in here, which means you can get a nice fine finish without having to do any adjustments to your change gears or your pitch. So very cool feature. I thought I'd point that out. A couple other things to note. We've got a switch, a safety switch in here, of course, that will kill the machine if the cover is opened. Looks like if you needed to bypass that, if you're working on something pretty big, you could simply remove the screws there, rotate the shaft back into the position it would be when the cover is down, and you would be able to run the machine without the cover if you needed to. Additionally, this cover here has a switch right down in the bottom. Can't see it here, hidden away, but the machine will not turn on without that cover on there. So decent safety considerations, all things considered. And I think it's a pretty decent unit for the money. I got it on sale and sold my previous mini lathe, which was a CX704, to partially fund this, and I definitely think I made the right decision. This thing is obviously quite a bit bigger. It's a 10 by 22 versus the CX704, which is 7 by, what is it, 14 or thereabouts. And anyway, this thing has a lot more capability. It's got triple the power on the motor, and I think it'll do quite well for what I want it to do. So hope that helps someone. Cheers.